Hello and welcome to Whipped It. Today, as you can see, we're going to make chicken parmesan. This is a long video, so I really want to get to it right now. So let's go. Okay, so we have the rice flour. We have garlic powder, a little bit of salt, and black pepper. And now we're going to pour everything into the flour. So for the chicken parmesan, to season the chicken, we're going to use this flour mix. We're not going to pre-season it before adding this flour. I think it tastes best. So we're going to stir this around, season this flour nicely. As you can see, the little specks of black pepper is seasoned well. So the next step, we're going to clean the chicken. I don't care what the FDA says. We're going to clean the chicken. After cleaning the chicken, we're going to pat it lightly with a paper towel. That way we can take off the excess water, but it can still be wet, as we need some water for the flour mix to adhere to the chicken. And then we're going to take one piece of chicken and put it in a plastic wrap. Cover lightly. Not tightly, lightly. And since I lost my mallet, I have the next best option. So we're just gonna smash it. Smash, smash, smash. So if you bought thin sliced chicken breast, you can skip this method. So turn it around and beat it some more. And as you can see, the chicken is poking out of the plastic wrap. So we're gonna readjust and then smash it some more. Remember to always cover the chicken lightly so it has room to grow. So you pretty much just want this as flat and even as possible. Thinness depends on your preference, but it should at least be the same size throughout the chicken breast, from middle to end, corner to corner. So since we have the 3 chicken breasts fully patted down with the can and not a mallet, we're going to cut the chicken in half since it grew twice the size. Should I cut this one? Keep it. So instead of 3 chicken breasts, we'll have 6 now. So now I'm going to place this in a bowl. Where I'm going to add the seasoned flour that we made. And then we're just gonna marinate this in. Now onto the pasta. We're going to turn the heat to medium and boil water. And here's our water. Here are 4 ingredients we're going to use for our pasta sauce. The full recipe, remember, is in the description link. Here's our salt. Here is our pepper. But first, we're going to use red onion and minced garlic. You can use chopped, you can use puree, any garlic you have, you can use. And last but not least, we're going to use tomato paste, which I love. And now, we're going to start with olive oil in a pan and the red onion. Mix that around. And then add the garlic. Mix that around and cook it for 1 minute. And afterwards, we're going to add the tomato paste into the pan and cook for 3 to 5 minutes. When you're cooking the tomato paste, you're going to notice that the pan is going to get burnt a little. That is okay. And with the oil, that can easily come up. You just rub it with your spoon. As you can see I'm doing, we're frying the tomato paste to take out the bitterness. Then we're going to add a little bit of seasoning to start. So salt and pepper. This is just a pre-season before we add the tomatoes. Start with the crushed tomatoes, as it can blend nicely with the tomato paste and onions. So I'm going to take off this little bit off my spoon and we're going to get to mixing. So mix the crushed tomatoes and the tomato paste together to form one. Keep scraping the bottom. And then afterwards, add the diced tomatoes. I like diced because it adds more depth to the sauce. So instead of having a flat but nice sauce, you can have a nice chunky sauce with both crushed and diced tomatoes. And then over medium heat, we're gonna let this sit for 10 to 15 minutes. And while we're doing that, we're gonna look at our boiled water. And then we're gonna add our pasta. If you're gonna add salt or garlic powder to the water, I recommend doing it after it starts boiling. It could be after you add the noodles or before, but after it starts boiling so it doesn't sink to the bottom. So now let's check on our sauce. A quick stir. It's coming along nicely. You see it's still watery. You want this thicker, so we're going to boil this down. But I want to add some seasoning. So this is onion powder. Now, black pepper, red crushed peppers for spice, and freeze-dried basil. I like freeze-dried basil because even though I'm a big fan of basil and I use it a lot, still having a fresh one all the time, it goes bad. So at least this method is still somewhat fresh, but at the same time, I can keep it in my refrigerator and use when I need to. So freeze-dried basil if you can find it. If not, you can use fresh or you can use dried basil. Basil is basil at the end of the day. And stir. I want to taste the sauce to make sure the seasoning is perfect. I can always add later, which I most likely will, but while it's still boiling down, I want to taste to make sure I'm close to my goal. This is our chicken. It's been sitting out. It's not in the refrigerator because we're cooking it now. Start with the eggs. You need 3 eggs for this recipe. If you're making more, you're going to need more eggs. But for this recipe, we're going to need 3 eggs. And mix that with a fork. We're not seasoning the eggs because it's unnecessary. You can, but I don't think you need it for this. And now our breadcrumbs. So usually I do this in a bowl, but to show you and not have my hand block everything, I'm gonna do this in a plate. So add enough breadcrumbs. And we're gonna take our chicken. So add our first chicken into the eggs. Make the excess strip off, and then we're going to place it into the breadcrumbs. We're going to do for the second one. Both sides covered in egg. Take off the excess egg. So we're going to add some breadcrumbs to the top first. And turn. We want to smash these breadcrumbs into the chicken. You may think you have enough, but keep going. Turn a couple of times to make sure it's really in there. That's our first chicken, and this is to fry. And here we're doing the exact same thing for the second chicken. So our second chicken is done, and now we're going to place it onto the plate to fry soon. And look at this mess. This is why I usually recommend you do it in a bowl. But for this demonstration, I did it in a plate for you guys. Okay, so here's our frying chicken, but I didn't forget about the pasta. So for the pasta, you want it al dente. What does that mean? So it can't be crunchy, that means it's undercooked. And it can't be soggy, that means it's overcooked. Taste the pasta. Taste, taste, taste. You're gonna taste the sauce, you're gonna taste the pasta. On to our chicken. So I'm adding olive oil. You can use grapeseed oil, you can use coconut oil, but this is Italian, so we're gonna use olive oil. Usually people use a thermometer to measure the temperature of oil, but that has never worked for me. So what I do, put it on medium-low for 10 minutes minimum. And afterwards, as you can see, I dip the chicken into the oil and see how well it boils. I'm observing the crumbs right now to see how well it's cooking before I add the chicken. So the crumbs are looking nice, so I'll add the chicken. Perfect. No thermometer, just sensors. So medium-low for 10 minutes minimum. So I usually wait 4 or 5 minutes minimum and then check it. So let's see. The first chicken I added. Nice. Let's check the second one. Oops. That's okay. It's actually a good thing because this little piece is going to be my taste tester. I want to see how well seasoned this chicken is before I place in the oven. See? A negative to a positive. So this pan we're going to use to place our chicken in when we place it in the oven. I'm lightly coating it with avocado oil spray. So our chicken is cooking, it's coming along. So this piece is interesting because it's slightly bigger on one side. This tip, this end, I want to cook. Brown it a little bit more before placing it in the oven. So we're going to remove the chicken from the pan. my little piece. Taste test. Take out some of the scraps. And take out this big piece right here. I'm usually not worried that it's not cooked through because again, we're gonna put it on 400 degrees in the oven, covered first. So the second batch. So now onto the cheese. So I'm gonna give credit to Chef John from Food Wishes. I got this idea from him and it's been amazing. I still need to try this on pizza. I really do need to try this cheese on pizza. But for this, it's amazing and I do love it more than mozzarella cheese. So here we have extra sharp white cheese. I'm gonna cut them into cubes. There's no method, just cut them as small as you want. Add some of the cheese into the bowl, just to start. I can always add more. And this is ricotta cheese. I usually hate ricotta cheese, truthfully, but for this, it works beautifully. So we're gonna mix the ricotta cheese and the extra sharp cheddar white cheese. And what you want this to look like is almost like potato salad. You know what potato salad looks like? That's how you want this to look like. That's the perfect balance between the white cheddar and the ricotta cheese. So we're gonna add salt for taste and black pepper, again, for taste. So we're gonna mix all of this in. See, it looks like potato salad. Here's a close-up. It doesn't have to be pureed. It can be lumpy, just a nice combination of all the ingredients. And then we're going to taste this to see if it's perfect. Again, taste, taste, taste. Now our sauce is done. So remove from heat and let cool. So look how chunky it is and it has no meat. If you want to do this recipe with meat, before we add the tomato sauce, you want to add it to the tomato paste. So it'll be tomato paste, then the meat, then the seasoning like the salt and pepper, and then you add the sauce. But you want to cook the meat down before you add the tomatoes. And look how thick it is. This is the diced tomatoes coming out. So here's our finished chicken. So now what I'm doing, I'm adding sauce to the sides of the chicken, not under it. Usually people put it under the chicken. I don't like that, truthfully. I hate soggy chicken. And that's why I can't eat everyone's chicken parmesan. I'm sorry. I hate soggy chicken. I want some bite to my chicken. So we're gonna add sauce to the sides, not under, the sides of the chicken. Now if you're really into the tomato with the chicken, then here's two options. You can add more to the side than what I'm gonna do, or afterwards, when everything is done, just add some of the cooked pasta sauce to the chicken. Just no soggy chicken, please. Here is our cheese. Dollop it on and push down slightly to spread. Trust me, it looks crazy now, but it's gonna turn out beautifully. So dollop it on and push down to spread. And again, I'm gonna add some avocado oil spray over the cheese mix. Just light tap, 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 tap. And then I'm gonna add the Parmesan. You can't have chicken Parmesan with no Parmesan. You can add Parmesan to the sauce, but I'm not going to. So I'm gonna put a lot of Parmesan on top of the cheese mix I made. So we're going to use the rest of the sauce for the pasta. And here is our chicken before we put it in the oven. So 400 degrees, covered in a pan for 10 to 15 minutes, or at least until the cheese mix melts. Once the cheese mix melts, then you can uncover and keep in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes until the cheese has browned slightly. So here's our pasta sauce. Look how thick it is. Here's our pasta al dente again. We strained it and now we're gonna put it into the sauce. And this is why the pasta needed to be al dente. You can't do this with soggy noodles. So we're gonna mix this in, and then while we're stirring, we're also gonna taste. So after we stir it in well like this, you want to taste it again. The sauce gets kind of diluted a little bit in taste, so you want to taste it again. So mix well, like I'm doing. And now, we're tasting. Swirl and into my mouth. It needed a little bit more salt, so I added more salt and a hint more basil. And this is the chicken out of the oven. You see a little bit of brown. That's when you uncover the pan after the cheese melts. So these brown spots are perfect. It gives like a nice crust, even though it's still very cheesy. It's beautiful. So now we're gonna plate it. And here's some parsley for decoration. Parsley always looks beautiful on every meal. Look at the cheese. It's not mozzarella. And here is our chicken parmesan. It is delicious. Just beautiful. The chicken not soggy. The pasta seasoned well. Just amazing. So we have the pasta at the bottom, the chicken, the big chicken on top. And here's a close-up. And I can't wait to eat this. Thank you so much for watching this video. It took a lot of work, but it was important for me to share this with you for this channel of Whipped It. The recipe is written on our website. The link is in the description below. Please visit whippedit.com for more recipes and subscribe to this channel for new videos to come out weekly. Thank you so much for enjoying this video. Now it's time to eat. I got complaints before that why don't you eat anything? Well, let me eat this. So if you wanted to add more sauce, you can. Just set it aside before you add the noodles, but I don't think you need it. Cooked to perfection. And it's crazy. I cooked it in the oven and in the pan and it's still juicy. This. Oh my god. Let's take some of this pasta. Look at this. And they really meld into the noodles just sitting there. Alright. Bye.